On TikTok, you can find anything from dance challenges to cooking hacks. But every so often, you stumble across something that feels completely out of place. Something unsettling. Something you can't stop watching. And that's the case for the account George Miller 720. At first glance, it looks like a family-focused TikTok channel. A proud father posting photos and slideshows of his wife, his daughter, and his sister. Except, there's one detail that changes everything. None of them are even real. They're all dolls. George introduces us to his family across multiple posts. His baby daughter, Angela, a small lifelike doll, cradled as if she was alive. His sister, Deborah, another doll often positioned in family slideshows. And his wife, Angelica, sometimes called his girlfriend in different videos. But here's where things get even stranger. In one video, George shows a clip of his real wife, a living woman. The last video in the slideshow shows the doll Angelica with the text saying that that's her replacement. It's disturbing, not just because he treats the dolls as if they're real, but because the lines between fantasy and reality keep shifting. Many commenters believe this was just George's way of coping with the loss of his real wife. Some speculate she passed away and the dolls are his grief made physical. And others think that he's been struggling with mental illness, constructing a fake family to fill an emotional void. But then there are the hidden messages. If you look closely at his slideshows, buried within the photos, there are chilling details. In one photo, the phone in the background clearly displays the words, "Help me." In another, near the doll's arms, are the words, "They are coming." In the most recent video, there is a binary code on the last slide, and when translated it reads, "Their souls are in the dolls." This would make theories split in two different directions. One which was a coping mechanism, that the dolls are his family replacements. The messages are subconscious expressions of grief. Some believe it could be an ARG, that George knows exactly what he's doing, that these hidden messages are intentional, designed to disturb and lure viewers into a rabbit hole of speculation. If that's true, it's certainly working. But then there's a darker interpretation. That what if George believes, or wants his audience to believe, that real human souls are somehow tied into the dolls, whether metaphorical or literal. What makes George Miller so disturbing, it isn't blood or violence, it's just the uncanny realism that the everyday act of posting your family on social media, except the family doesn't even exist. They're dolls that smile back at you. So what's really going on with George Miller? Is this the tragic story of a man coping with loss? Or is this an elaborate piece of internet horror? Or is there something stranger happening behind the curtain, something hinted at in those cryptic messages? Recently, one of my viewers reached out to me about something disturbing happening on TikTok. At first I thought it might just be an exaggeration, maybe another creepy user or odd account. But once I started digging, I realized how much darker it was than that. This isn't just about strange content, it's about an entire coded network hiding in plain sight. Accounts that look harmless on the surface, but when you read between the lines and in the bios and the comments, you start to see a pattern. And what that pattern points to is horrifying. The first account, EasyBoy1597. At first glance, it doesn't look like anything too alarming. The content is tame with nothing graphic. But the bio is where things start to get suspicious. It contains strange phrases like "yummy pizza," a phrase with darker implications online. It includes an @handle, possibly for a telegram. The account itself is one of the mild cases, but the follower list is where the problem starts, because many of the followers lead to accounts that are much, much worse. The next account starts to make things very clear. The username itself includes words hinting at exploitation. The bio directly promotes Telegram, which is one of the most common platforms these communities push towards people. The videos are blurred because they appear to show someone underage. In the comments, they are filled with emojis, vague signals, and quiet affirmations, with nothing explicit, but just enough for those in the know to understand. This is a common tactic used on TikTok to try to push conversations off platform where there's less moderation. Hot Potatoes 94. This is where the codes become undeniable. The bio includes the acronym AAM, which means Adult Attracted to Minors. Phrases like DMs are open and no limits. And the numbers 51 with the reverse emoji. This looks harmless at first glance, but here's the trick. TikTok doesn't allow people to state their age. So instead, these accounts put their ages backwards. 51 actually means 15. In other cases, I've seen math equations such as age codes, something like 5 plus 5 equals 10, which really just signals that they're. And this is how they mask their age while staying under TikTok's radar. Another account went even further, openly using the acronym MAP, which stands for Attracted Person. This is language predators use online to normalize themselves. This account includes a mega link, but not for downloading. It's a file request, meaning the user was asking others to send files to them. Words like material paired with pizza emojis, a well-known code. And repeated invitations for to message them directly. And at this point, it's not even subtle. It's outright blatant. And yet the account was still up. And the most disturbing account I found is one I can't show in detail, but the videos themselves feature what appears to be compromising situations. In the comments, adults were asking for full videos, or sharing copy-paste style invites to Telegram. Others were warning not to comment too much, because they didn't want the video getting flagged and removed. The fact that this account is still active shows how broken the moderation system can be. Why do these accounts survive while harmless videos get removed daily? TikTok is just a surface layer. The real conversations happen on platforms like Telegram. And because not every video is explicit, many of these accounts slip through moderation until someone directly reports them. And even then, not all reports lead to removal. And what started as a single viewer tip turned into a complete rabbit hole. One account led to another and another, until it became clear this isn't isolated. It's a network hidden in plain sight, using codes and signals that outsiders wouldn't recognize. You're scrolling online when you came across a profile, a supposed high school senior, an athlete, a wrestler, and a bodybuilder. He posts about training, about working out, about school struggles, and even about being bullied for being gay. At first glance, it reads like a profile of a normal teenager, but this isn't a teenager. This is an adult man, pretending to be one. And he's been doing it for nearly 15 years. On Quora, he goes by the name Wrestlerstudmuffin. His profile paints him as a muscular high school wrestler. He joins groups aimed at teenagers, talks about homework, fitness, and high school sports. In his post, he mixes in personal struggles, claiming he has to stand up to bullies and protect other LGBTQ students, and that he's just a teenager finding his way. But the timeline immediately collapses. Some of these posts date back 17 years. Nobody's in high school for that long. And when you start digging deeper, it becomes obvious that this entire identity is fake. His profile picture is stolen. A reverse image search reveals it's an old bodybuilding photo recycled from years ago. Not a high schooler, not even close. His writing style doesn't fit it either. Instead of sounding natural, he forces certain phrases again and again, like young, shirtless, muscles, and short shorts. always circling back to the same obsessions. Its language is someone projecting a fetish, not a real teenager talking about their life. And the account isn't just limited to Quora. The same name and the same behavior stretch across multiple platforms on YouTube. His account dates back to 2007. His playlists are filled with obscure high school wrestling matches. Most uploaded around the same time the account was created. At first, it looks like simple sports content, but as you scroll further, things start to shift. Videos about urination, clips of boys hitting each other in the crotch, even bizarre comedy scenes fixating on awkward sexual undertones. He comments about how he's played these bladder games with friends, explaining how it's more fun if your bladder is full. This isn't random, and it's very consistent. He has a fixation on wrestling, on young bodies, and fetish material. When people ran reverse image searches on his profile, it led back to a deleted RedTube account, meaning this man wasn't just role-playing a fake teenager on innocent platforms. He carried that stolen identity onto adult sites too. Once you start noticing his obsessions, you can't unsee them. He constantly talks about young men going shirtless, about muscular boys in short shorts, about good-looking teens showing off. This isn't limited to comments. He brings these fantasies into games. On The Sims 3, his custom world is filled with avatars and muscular teens, walking around half naked in shorts. His online behavior is the loop of the same imagery over and over again. Wrestling, muscles, urination, shorts. Every platform he touches reveals the same pattern. What makes this especially disturbing isn't just the fetish angle, it's how he interacts with others on Quora. He deliberately joins teen-focused spaces, groups for students, for high school sports, for young people dealing with relationships. Inside those groups, he comments directly on threads from users who openly state that they're teenagers. Sometimes it's subtle, other times it's suggestive. Compliments about bodies, comments about going shirtless. He even invites teens to message him privately. And when people block him, he lashes out, posting complaints that he's being ignored or excluded. It's pretty clear this is an adult infiltrating teen communities, pretending to be one of them while pushing sexual undertones into conversations. His YouTube playlists reveal even more. Beyond the wrestling content and the bladder fixation, there are 8 hidden and unavailable videos. Nobody knows exactly what these videos are, but based on the rest of his history, it raises obvious questions about what he was saving and why. Combining this with a long-term obsession, the fake teenage identity, and his attempts to connect directly with minors online, and you're left with a picture that's extremely dark. And for over a decade, Wrestlerstudmuffin has pretended to be a teenager. He's stolen photos, built fake personas, and obsessively posted about muscles, wrestling, and fetish material, and he's wormed his way into teenage spaces online, attempting to connect directly with vulnerable users. What if I told you there's a YouTube channel that's been hiding in plain sight for over a decade? A channel that, at first glance, looks like some harmless old man's vlogs. But underneath, it reads like a shrine. Shrine to underage girls. The Cool Girl channel. You most likely never heard of it, and that's the problem. The story starts with a Reddit thread. A user recalls being around 10 years old when they first started posting vlogs to YouTube. Like a lot of kids in the early 2010s, they had full unrestricted access to the internet. And back then, one viewer would stand out. A grown man. I was always there and always commenting, always suggesting what kind of videos she should post next. She didn't think much of it at the time, but years later she rediscovered the man's channel, and everything suddenly started feeling completely wrong. the channel called the Cool Girl Channel. The channel's description is quite long and honestly quite disturbing. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but a certain line from it is very disturbing to say the least. It reads, "I have young girls in the fam that'll put you to shame." Again, I'm not super sure what that's trying to imply there, but you could probably figure that out for yourself. And most of his videos are uneventful, just a man talking to a camera. But if you scroll a little farther, things start to get dark. Playlists filled with teenage vloggers, young girls singing, dancing, doing makeup, talking about their lives. All saved and all categorized. All by someone old enough to know better. And if that wasn't enough, we start seeing video titles and videos about topics that shouldn't exist on his channel. Topics such as although he hasn't been active recently, he has added something to his playlist as recently as 2024. And for the longest time, people assumed the man behind the channel vanished a few years ago. But that's not true. He's still around, still updating his favorites, still responding to comments, and still watching. This isn't some type of deep mystery, and it's not even really that hidden. But honestly, that makes it more disturbing. The channel itself has been online for nearly 15 years, and no one has really said a word about it. Because it doesn't really go viral, and he doesn't post anything too flashy. And most people just shrugged it off saying, it's just some type of creep. But honestly, we shouldn't downplay these situations as just a creep on the internet, as if that's an excuse for the behavior. This channel, for nearly 15 years, have been commenting under underage girls, trying to lead them to subscribe to his channel, which again has explicit content on it, and that's not even considering what may even happen behind closed doors. And this isn't really about just one type of channel, because if we let this slip through the cracks for nearly 15 years, what else is out there that we haven't seen yet?